Era of AI, The Little Big Book for People on the Go, by Mark Salisbury, Professor of Computer Science at the University of St. Thomas. In each 25-minute episode, Mark is joined by producer Rikko Smart and a live audience where he provides an overview of a chapter from his book and the inspiration for it. You can find the upcoming dates and locations for the Virtual World Book Tour of Leadership in the Era of AI on marksalisbury.com. And be sure to check out the LinkedIn group dedicated to the book, Virtual Book Tour for Leadership in the Era of AI.
Hi, I'm Mark Salisbury. Welcome to this virtual book tour for my new book, Leadership in the Era of AI. Today I'm joined by my producer, Rikko Smart, and we're in Bart's Books in Ojai, California. Rikko, can you tell us a little bit about Bart's Books?
Bart's Books was established in 1964. It boasts to be the world's largest outdoor bookstore, located in the serene Ojai Valley of California, featuring over 130,000 books, both new and used, a true haven for the passionate reader, intrigued traveler, or simply those looking for a good beach read.
Man, sounds like my kind of place. And what I understand is there's no truth to the rumor that this is a closed optional establishment. Is that what you think?
I've had some warnings. I think we should keep it that way.
Okay, very good. Okay, folks, well, thanks for being with us today. In this episode, I'm going to talk about Chapter 2 in my book, and here we will meet our leader of wisdom workers. If you remember from last time that we started with Chapter 1, and we talked about that in, of course, Episode 1, and it was called Avoid Single Intelligence, right? Leadership. In other words, we met a boss, and basically he was pretty much the brains of that outfit and delegated out the work. So they were as smart as he was. And we saw some of the shortcomings of that in Chapter 1, and we met some of his team members. Now in Chapter 2, we are looking at employing collaborative leadership, and we meet our second boss, who is actually the leader of basically a group, a team of wisdom workers. So we read from the book. Meanwhile, in a new world in the metaverse, another team is beginning a reading. And it's actually a meeting. Looks like I won't be late after all, said an avatar that was just coming online. It was Josie Wang, the leader of the team, with a box of virtual donuts and coffee. Team members can use the gift certificates to have their own favorite snacks and beverages during team meetings in the metaverse. And so at this meeting, we'll work with Socrates Digital to determine the feasibility of developing emotional intelligent classes. If it turns out that it's feasible, we will put together a strategy for accomplishing the project, Josie continued. So that's the conversation part. And so the way this book is laid out, it's very short conversations between team members and the leadership of those teams. And then we start to understand the dynamics. And then we have part of the chapters that really kind of pull us apart as a debrief and have a narrative about what's actually happening in these groups. And so the narrative for this one is, on the surface, it appears the difference between the two teams is that one manager is nicer to work for than the other. Josie Wang is simply a nicer person than Neil Anderthal. But there's much more of a difference than that. Josie's team does the work of 3 similar teams. That's right. Her team does 3 times the amount of research and development for new products and services than Neil Anderthal's team. Since both teams are in the R&D business, Wang's team is much smarter than Anderthal's team. They create a staggering amount of new knowledge compared to Anderthal's and the other R&D teams. When we look closely at Josie's team, we see that it has a high level of organizational intelligence, and it works differently. It's also led differently. As a result, the team exemplifies what is meant by wisdom workers, and these workers will change everything. Okay, later on in this narration, we have, instead of trying to increase her control over her team members, thereby reducing knowledge flow, Wang increases the team's members' control over their work, which greatly increases knowledge flow and fuels organizational intelligence in the creation of new knowledge. Okay, and so when I drew a little diagram of Josie's team, it looks kind of like this. And we see that basically it's flat, and we see that there's large flows of knowledge across her team. And then when we compare that to what we have in Neil Anderson's group, we see that it's traditionally very hierarchical. It has very thick lines of control, but very little that shows that information flows back to him and to anyone else in the organization. So that's what we have here. And, I've actually known leaders like this. I didn't model this book on any particular individual, but rather the characteristics and behaviors that I've observed over the years, and even in myself, and the ones that worked and the ones that didn't work so well. And so this is actually, I have been in a team that's like this, and I've seen that it can actually work, and the results are actually much, much more impressive. So anyway, that's kind of the introduction to this chapter. And I'm going to go back to Rikko, and you've been watching our chat feed. What do you have to report?
I think most people are in agreement that communication is the key. As you mentioned, shared knowledge, and to get the communication flowing both from top to bottom or bottom to top, and to keep all the team members well in touch.
Okay. Okay, very good. So it sounds to me like people are tuning in and paying attention. So are there any questions for me out there?
Could you elaborate on how a manager should introduce themselves and keep communication flowing?
Part of that is I remember this one particular manager that I worked for said that everyone has a job in their group. And her joke was, my job is to get on my knees and beg for money. And so, she put herself at the same level as everyone else. And then the other thing that she would do is whenever we would have people visiting our group, is that she would point out that the expertise that her individuals had in her group and have them speak to answer the questions of the client or potential client that we might have. And so very much placed leadership of the organization, the budget, and kind of the direction at the same level as the people who did the technical work. And I really picked up on that, and I thought, and I noticed how effective that was in getting people to not only do their part, but go over and do that extra and beyond. So I actually have seen that. So any other things you see out there on that chat feed?
Well, I like your point that once you do communicate well with your employees, that what you're doing is strengthening their knowledge, and it gives them both a feeling of self-esteem and worthiness within the company.
Yeah, there you go. And we're getting towards the end of this thing now. What are you doing this afternoon in California?
I think I'm going to shoot some curls.
There you go. All right. Okay. Well, I'm going to go over here and I'm going to thank people for tuning in today. And I'm going to tell folks to head to marksalisbury.com to see our full tour schedule and join our new LinkedIn group, Virtual Book Tour for Leadership in the Era of AI, to stay in the loop. Our next virtual stop is Libreia, and it's El Pinto. Boy, I butchered that, didn't I? I'm going to try that again. I can't believe, Rikko, that you're going to let me actually say these words. I would have thought you would have grabbed it from me.
I was going to tell you that it's easy for you to say.
Exactly. Okay, we'll try this again, folks. Our next virtual stop is Librea Ria, and it's in El Pentilo, and that's actually in Mexico City, Mexico. And it's going to be on December 17th at 1 o'clock Central Time. And we're going to talk about Chapter 3, which is about utilizing a problem-solving strategy. And it's all, of course, from my book, Leadership in the Era of AI. Okay, folks, we'll look for you then.
We'll see you in Mexico. Adios, amigos.
There it is. See you then.
You can find previously broadcast episodes of the Virtual World Book Tour of Leadership in the Era of AI, the Little Big Book for People on the Go, in video and podcasts on marksalisbury.com. Additionally, YouTube hosts video episodes on the Virtual World Book Tour of Leadership in the Era of AI, while Apple, Spotify,